Hi all, I hope you're all doing well, hope everyone's safe. Today we're going to be making my pepperoni that I make for my pizzas. You won't see me eating it because it's going to be on my pizza, which I'll also try and make a video so that the two drop together. But this is how to go about making the pepperoni that I make for my pizzas. Take care. If your processor has one, set it up with its dough paddle, if not a standard blade attachment will do, and add 2 cups or 250 grams of vital wheat flour to the bowl of the food processor with the appropriate attachment. Then add 25 grams or half a cup of nutritional yeast. And then 6 tablespoons or 45 grams of cornflour. At a push you could use tapioca flour because it will do the same job for you, but I tend to stick with the cornflour. If you have the ability to grind your own fennel seed, it is a far better way to go than buying shop-bought pre-ground fennel seed, as you will get a much greater depth of flavour from the fennel if you're grinding it yourself. The machine is a far easier way than a mortar and pestle though, so if you don't have the machine, I would probably stick with buying shop-bought. And whilst your machine is grinding your other fennel, add 1 teaspoon of whole fennel seeds to the mixture as well. Assuming you are grinding your own, add slightly heaped teaspoons, 2 slightly heaped teaspoons to the machine, and you'll come out with 2 level teaspoons of ground fennel. And once it is fully ground, add that to the food processor with the rest of your ingredients so far. And next up, we're looking to add 1.5 teaspoons of onion powder. And then the same quantity of garlic powder, so also 1.5 teaspoons. And then one of my favourite spices, it finds its way into so many things I make, smoked paprika, and we're talking 4 teaspoons of smoked paprika. And then it's 1 teaspoon of red chilli flakes. And then to round off the heat, 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And to season everything properly, we require 1 teaspoon of table salt and half a teaspoon of ground black pepper. And that's all of our dry ingredients. So now that they're all in the machine, take it over and give it a wee whiz on its base just to bring everything together. We're not looking for long, just a bringing together of the dry ingredients. In a jug or a bowl, add 375 millilitres or 1.5 cups of water. And to that, add 4 tablespoons of olive oil. And using the same spoon that you've just used to add the oil, add 4 tablespoons of ketchup. The oil will create a slight lubrication to your spoon, meaning almost no, if any ketchup at all, will stick to it. And for the same reason for which we added our nutritional yeast, which is to give us an umami flavour, we're also going to be adding 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Now, because I had a blonde moment here and I hit pause rather than record when I was adding the liquid smoke, you're going to need to add 4 teaspoons of liquid smoke to your wet ingredients and then give everything a bit of a stir. And being careful not to spill it, which is why I tend to use a jug over a bowl, we're going to add all of our wet ingredients to the dry ingredients in our food processor. We then want to knead our ingredients for 4 minutes in the food processor at whatever the kneading speed for your machine is. It's quite low for most. Then you're going to rest it for 1 minute and then you're going to knead it again for a further 4 minutes. We're not looking for hefty strings of gluten here, but we are looking for it to start to bind together slightly. If you take the lid off after your first 4 minutes and examine your seitan, you'll see the gluten strands have already begun to form. And now that you have an idea of what you should be looking for, you can put your lid back on and we're going to knead for another 4 minutes. And when we're done, our seitan should look like this. It should be fully combined, it should be a lot of stretch and bite to the gluten, but it shouldn't be one solid mess. It should stretch out really, really easy. be soft in your hands, but still all the fibres holding. And now we're going to remove it from our machine and we're going to let it rest on our work surface for 20 minutes. This gives you the opportunity to grab any of the seitan that may have stuck to any of the parts of your machine and get it all together. And whilst your seitan is resting, this gives you an opportunity to get your tin foil ready. You're going to need 4 sheets. Now I use these big massive sheets from Costco, so I split them in 2 when I've actually shredded off one part. But if you're using the smaller stuff that you pick up in many supermarkets, obviously you'll be ripping off 4 parts. Just depends on the size of the tin foil sheeting that you have. And again, whilst it's resting, we're going to take, and on the dull side of our tin foil, just along one of the bottom edges, we're going to spray on a little bit of oil, and then using our hand, just spread it out across the foil, because this is where our seitan's going to lay. We take a second sheet, and then we can also repeat the same process, and then when we store them, we're going to put the 2 oiled parts together. That way we're not getting any oil should we happen to touch it ahead of the time of when we require it. And now that our seitan has rested, we're going to split it into 4 equal parts. If our measurements have all been accurate, which they aren't always, let's face it, we're sometimes a little out, we're going to be looking for around 225 grams of seitan per section, so 4 balls of around 225 grams of seitan. We then want to take each of our individual balls and we're going to roll them out into a sausage shape. Now start in the centre and roll it from the centre outwards. Think about how you used to roll plasticine as a kid back in nursery. We're just going to follow the same techniques we learned then by rolling from the centre out towards the edges, and that will give us a nice even sausage shape. We then want to take our sausage and add it to the pre-oiled edge of the tin foil that we had already prepared. Now using our fingertips and our thumbs, we're going to gently roll the tin foil over and tuck it underneath the sausage. As soon as it's tucked under the sausage, take your thumbs and press down at the edges of the actual tin foil to create notches so that it's at the edge of the sausage. That means that when you do that, the tin foil won't wrap round and hold on to lots of parts of the sausage when you come to make it. If you don't do that, then there's a chance you're going to have a lot of seitan twisted into the twists that we're creating. Add your sausages in their tin foil to an oven-proof dish and then pour over boiling water. Now we want the water to completely cover the sausages, so get it right up to the top of a deep pan and look for them almost beginning to float in the water, and you know you have enough. Then being very careful wearing silicone gloves or something else that will prevent you being scalded, transfer them into your oven. I should have added already, don't bother preheating your oven up until you've wrapped your seitan logs in the tin foil, because this will give the seitan a little bit of time to rest as the oven gets to temperature. And as soon as our hour is over, we're going to remove the pan from the oven. Again, make sure you're wearing protective gloves, something that will stop you getting burnt by the hot water. We don't want a scald here. And then we're going to remove the seitan from any remaining water in the pan and set them aside. And we're going to let these cool as they are for about 20 to 25 minutes. They're still going to be warm to the touch at the end of that period, but they're hopefully at that point not going to burn you. We're then going to put them in the fridge for at least 2 hours to allow them to firm up. The longer you chill seitan, the firmer it gets up to a point. So we're going to put it into the fridge and we're going to let them cool for, as I say, 2 hours minimum before use. I tend to set them aside the day before. And when you're ready to use them, remove them from the fridge, unwrap them from the tin foil. When it comes to be slicing them, be careful not to cut yourself. I cut myself all the time when I go near knives. I'm a bit of an idiot being near knives, and it doesn't help that I like my knives exceptionally sharp, so I always wear gloves just so I don't slice myself. The times I don't wear the gloves, I end up going slicing myself, so wear gloves. Thickness wise, we're looking for somewhere between 6 and 8 millimeters. I find is a really good thickness for putting the pepperoni on the pizza. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, these are actually for my pizza, so you won't see me consuming them until you actually see me consuming a little bit of my pizza. So these will be set aside and then they'll be added to my pizza dough later on. Therefore, thank you for watching and hopefully catch you in the next one. Stay safe out there.